All right, everyone. We're back. Took like a 7-minute break there.
Gotta wrestle vocals.
Yeah, had some good laughs. But now we're back to talk about Monday Night Raw. Obviously, Raws after a pay-per-view are usually a pretty big thing.
Yep.
This weekend we opened with the Shield segment of them kind of going back and forth, which led to the main event of the night, the number one contenders match. But I want to get into the first match, which WWE to me seems to be wasting because I think it's really good TV. Every time Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens get in the ring together or get near each other, we all know they're best friends in real life.
Yep.
But that is just great TV when those two guys go at it. And they even showed them brawling backstage, which we've been asking for something like that for so long.
But it's wasted on television. You could have had them brawl without the match. Like, save the matches for the pay-per-view.
Right, exactly. If you knew that you were just going to have them brawl, just, do what you did with Titus O'Neil and Rusev and not actually have a match start, but just have them brawl and just...
no contest, and then they're just fighting around the arena. Yeah.
Right. It is really, really good TV, which probably... is likely to set us up for Owens and Zayn at Battleground.
So what's his Owens' name, like 4 or 5?
Yeah, but again, every time they get in the ring, it's magic, so it's another good match wasted at a B-level pay-per-view. I just don't understand why you wouldn't save good matches like this when you know they're going to be good for a pay-per-view that's more likely to draw you more money.
Yep.
But then we saw People Power. Big Johnny. Big Johnny. Johnny Laryngitis, as Enzo called him, or Johnny
Banging Nikki's
Laurinaitis.
mom right now.
Yep. What did JBL call him? The leader of the Bella Clan or something like that. JBL called him.
People power, man.
But so that leaves me the question to ask you. We've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now. If it was up to you, I mean, obviously we've agreed Paul Heyman probably will not get SmackDown again, even though that's when SmackDown was probably at its best.
Right.
When he was the head of creative and running SmackDown. Yep. Who are we more likely to see? Because we're probably going to get 2 GMs, whether that's Shane and Stephanie, or if Shane gets Raw and then appoints a GM and Stephanie gets SmackDown, or whatever. Who do you think are going to be the 2?
It has to be Shane and Stephanie. It'd be the only sense of this whole... They expect you to forget things that happened a while ago. We didn't forget the whole McMahon wanting his kids to feud for control of the shows. It has to be Shane and Stephanie.
Okay. So is there a possibility that maybe, let's say he goes, okay, Stephanie, you're gonna run Raw, and then Stephanie appoints a GM. Kind of like we saw with with Vince and Flair.
Right.
I mean, they both kind of had or Bischoff. They both kind of had. Even though Vince ran Raw, he still had Bischoff and Coachman and all these guys kind of coming through, doing his dirty work for him.
I just don't see the point of doing that,
Okay.
If you're there, just run it.
Yep. All right, so we had Enzo and Cass versus the Vaudevillains, and again, Enzo is just, he's fired. It was a quick squash match, but since it was the only tag match of the night, do you think we'll get the 2 baby faces going head-to-head at Battleground, New Day versus Enzo and Cass for the tag team titles?
I want to go ahead and say no. It'll probably end up being the Club versus the New Day. Or, no, excuse me, they're throwing them in a segment with the Wyatts now, so it'll be Wyatts versus New Day. For some odd reason, WWE doesn't like putting together babyface versus babyface for a match, but
as we saw, I mean, ultimately, whether they want to call Bray Wyatt a heel or whatever, he's essentially a babyface because the crowd loves him.
They're still going
and they're gonna cheer him regardless.
Right. But to them, he's a heel though.
Yeah. Which is a waste. Anyways, moving on. Again, we saw Styles and Cena.
Compose yourself, my friend.
I'm sorry. Okay, so we saw Styles and Cena again. We talked about it on the first show.
Right.
With the apology. I thought this was just flat out stupid.
It was pretty bad. Like, he called the club out to make them apologize.
To him?
Yeah, you need to look him in the eye and apologize. Styles, I'm sorry. I'm like...
I really, honestly, what I thought was it was gonna be like, it's okay, and like a wink. Kind of like Styles playing into the sarcasticness.
He looked really serious about this.
Yeah, but like that was the worst part was he sounded sarcastic, his face looked serious, And then when Cena came out, then it really got serious because he
Yeah.
was talking about how the club gave Cena an out and, doesn't make the win as much as it should mean or
Yep.
whatever. But really, like, the whole time I'm watching this, I'm just thinking, like, God, like, is this AJ Styles going to the ring and just, like, giving
Having
Vince
fun.
a big F you? Because this
Yeah.
is dumb. It really was,
It was
stupid.
really, and then he made them apologize to Cena. John, I'm sorry.
Yes, like if it was meant to be humorous,
It was pretty funny.
It made me
Yeah.
laugh.
I don't think it was, but it was really
they
funny.
did a good job. But yeah, if it was not meant to be humorous, I'm sorry. But that was
The concept was really, really dumb, but if it was for laughs and giggles, you hit the nail on the head there.
yeah, dummy, yeah. So after that, Cena squashed Carl Anderson,
Yeah.
which we saw coming.
I kind of skipped through that match, unfortunately.
Which probably sets us up for round 2 at Battleground. We kind of talked about that in the Money in the Bank show too. So, I mean, do you think? I guess if I had to put a gun to your head and ask you, is Battleground going to be for the world title, or is it just going to be Cena Styles 2?
Cena Styles too, and I think they're gonna throw a curveball after watching Raw, and I think they're going to have Styles beat Cena again. I don't know how, but I think they're gonna save the big win for Cena at the big pay per view.
At SummerSlam,
Yep,
ultimately.
Cena has to get his redemption back.
So, but something else that we talked about where Cena usually, if somebody does beat Cena like Owens did, Cena ultimately usually ends up winning the next couple.
Right.
So you don't think this is a case where Styles gets the first win and now Cena's going to beat him at Battleground and Cena's going to beat him at SummerSlam?
If WWE really wants to invest into AJ Styles, there has to be some sort of shenanigans on Cena's part if he beats Styles at Battleground, just like how it was when Styles beats Cena.
Okay, I gotcha. So again, we're going to. We had Natty jump Becky backstage during a promo, which will probably ultimately lead to a match
Yeah.
at Battleground. So we talked about that, but then there was only one person I could think of during this next segment. Baron Corbin squashes Zack Ryder. Woo.
Yeah.
Woo. But, I'm just watching the match. Ultimately, I knew there was no way Zack Ryder was going to win this match. So that's why I viewed it as a squash.
Yep.
But if you've been watching Zack Ryder matches on television as of late, it seems like they're giving him not I guess ample opportunity to prove himself in these matches, even though he's already proven. But he's putting on really good matches,
Yeah,
even though
decent.
he's gonna lose. Do you think that this could hold something for him with the brand extension?
Not really. I mean, like, best case scenario, he's Intercontinental or Cruiser, or they bring up the Hype Bros and they go for the tag titles.
Okay, yeah, and that's another tag team that we did not mention. Him and Mojo Rawley. So let's talk about the Wyatt return.
Sure.
It was great because Wyatt they showed a couple vignettes to start the show of them, and then Wyatt comes out, looks great by the way, losing looks like quite a bit of weight. And he just starts going into this promo, which he's always great at cutting really, really good promos.
Yep.
But then the New Day comes out.
I was really disappointed in that, actually. I was looking forward to some Wyatt promos.
I was too. And even if it was something, a silly like versus Social Outcast, just Heath Slater, Curtis Axel, and Bo Dallas, a squash match, whatever. I was really excited to see Bray Wyatt come back.
I just wanted Wyatt to come back and claim he was going after the world title right now. But I don't know if you caught this, but Xavier Woods kept getting hypnotized by something, so that could end up being, if they have a triple threat tag team match, that it could be something like shenanigans where Xavier turns on the New Day or something like that.
Xavier for whatever reason kept losing focus. And Bray just started laughing at him and cutting this promo.
Sister Abigail.
Yeah, and we don't know who Sister Abigail is going to be. Is it going to be a woman that's already on the roster, just repackaged that it didn't work, or something else? We don't know. But now, I don't know if WWE's ever seen this before, but is there a possibility that you get the 3 members of the New Day versus the 3 members of the Wyatt in a Freebird rules match for the tag titles?
That would be pretty cool.
And possibly that's the way that they drop the tag titles for the New Day.
Could they pin Xavier Woods or something?
Yeah, and they put the title on Strowman and Rowan ultimately with Bray.
Right.
Hopefully going for a bigger title.
I have been praying for the Wyatts to win the title since they had those matches with the Usos.
Yeah.
They deserve it. Even though it's not Harper, I will still take something. Something's better than nothing. And Bray needs a big push, and for him to have tag team champions behind him, and for him ultimately to win a title, a major title, would be really cool. So I'd like to see that happen at Battleground. Shield versus Wyatt. Excuse me. New Day versus Wyatt. Maybe we'll get Shield versus Wyatt again.
Yeah, and that was one of the other things that I talked about for the Money in the Bank was something that could possibly happen. But if Bray and the Wyatts do get drafted to SmackDown, and AJ Styles ends up going to SmackDown as well, you could get the Club versus the Wyatts.
I would love seeing that.
Both, obviously Wyatt and Styles being leaders feuding for the world title.
Yeah, that would be really great.
with their Goonies behind them, obviously.
I would love seeing that.
And what would be interesting is Luke Harper coming back, and then we obviously know that the Bullet Club does have another member who's still sitting in NXT waiting to make his debut, which I would absolutely lose the entirety of my mind if that was something that was able to happen.
That would be fantastic. I wanted Wyatts and Evolution when they were together, when they got back for that short time, but Shield and Evolution.
Well, and the Wyatts and the Shield, I mean, that was great stuff.
Oh, yeah, all the time. Every time they put on matches. The faction, the three-way faction matches are always really good. And you have so many factions now.
And now that, since you did bring up the whole idea of factions, when you look at the Attitude Era, you had, the Ministry of Darkness, which Taker was, he's a 7-8 time world, WWE champion, who was followed by the Acolytes, Midian, Viscera. He had people behind him. Rock had the Nation of Domination. He had people behind him while he was making his push. The Shield was a dominant faction. Or DX. Shawn Michaels was the world champ. Triple H was getting mid-card runs. You had China, Pac, the Outlaws were the tag champs. Is that something that Vince should look at where now, we do have a little bit more factions coming around with 3 people where it's like, okay, let's give a faction something where it's, a tag titles and the main title.
Definitely.
Or the IC and the US and the main title.
And have the
something like
faction
that.
face each other on the actual... Not everybody has to be a faction,
Right.
But have them, battle on, a brand, dude. That's probably the greatest thing they probably have in a while.
Okay. Okay. So, obviously, like we said, Bray is super good, and he was just about as over as ever last night.
Did y'all miss me?
Yeah. And the crowd went nuts. I mean, when he came out, it was like that place still, even though the lights go out.
Yeah,
it was
like never left.
It was like the place had the lights still on. I mean, all the cell phones that were out. And I really, Vince has always been the guy to stop momentum. Bray, or Bad News Barrett had the "I'm afraid I've got some bad news" quote that he used, and people loved it. So, because they wanted him to be a heel, they made him stop doing the bad news gimmick. They gave him King Barrett, which ultimately kind of squandered. People weren't feeling it.
They don't
which
like when you get over on your own.
Which ultimately led to Wade, exiting on his own. Right. So now the Wyatts, when they first started getting big, they did that thing where they would say the city that they're in, we're here, blow out the lantern, and then make their way out.
Oh, they popped for that.
Exactly. But then they stopped doing it, obviously, because Bray was supposed to be a heel. Now, again, they did it last night, so we'll see if they do it again next week. But is this ultimately going to be the final, I guess, the face turn, or the finally admitting that Bray is a tweener to the WWE Universe?
I don't know. He's still supposed to be that new Taker feeling of and Taker was a tweener too, so it doesn't really matter. I guess you could do it that way. Just don't have them back down from anyone. That's all I'm worried about.
Yeah. Ultimately, you want them to look as strong.
Don't have them run away. I'm tired of seeing your heels running away.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you think about it, especially we keep mentioning the Attitude Era, obviously the brightest spot of WWE's history.
Right.
But I mean, Austin was a tweener, never backed down from anyone.
Nope.
Rock never ran from anyone. Kurt Angle was probably a really big heel.
As much as Triple H got whooped, he got whooped by staying in the ring, staying in front of people. So, yeah.
A lot. I don't think that they started doing this until, maybe Edge, the ultimate opportunist, so to speak, where he would kind of pick his spots and then run away. Or Chris Jericho kind of being a weasel, so to speak. Right. But yeah, that they definitely need. I'm sorry, they definitely need to go back to the heels standing up and being
Yep.
like, I'm the bad guy. You want some? You come get some.
Owens does that. On
Yeah,
the
and Owen, that's why Owens is absolutely fantastic. So they wasted about 15 minutes again last night with Titus and Rusev brawling on TV.
Skip.
It was it was boring. Titus O'Neil came out and said, "Don't talk about me. Don't talk about my family." The typical thing when family's involved. They were supposed to have a match, but the ref couldn't break them up. I mean, when is this going to be over?
That's why I skipped it. I hope it'll be over after I skipped it, but
we have a pay-per-view coming in 5 weeks. If you're a part of creative, who is going for the U.S. title?
Baron Corbin.
Okay.
Yep.
So Corbin would be the big push for you?
Yep.
Okay.
It's Monster Heel versus Monster Heel.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That would be that'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting. I'm trying to think of a babyface who's been getting a nice push as of late. Maybe Cesaro.
Just don't do Ziggler.
I got you. So the Miz cut another promo.
Yeah, Miz is back. Yes.
From his Marine 5
Oh my goodness.
thing, and this dude is hilarious. Like, I used to hate the Miz.
I think we all did. His character just got really, really stale and just annoying, but it got so much heat. Now this whole, like we talked about before, this whole rejuvenation where he has the title, and now Maurice is with him, and they're just both just a-holes, and they complement each other, and he's really good at it right now. Which is why I don't mind them taking him off of TV with the IC belt right now.
And I now see why they gave him the run as WWE champion when they did.
Oh, it was great. It was just wasted.
Yeah, agreed. And but his promos are gold, and I guess I never thought I'd catch myself saying this, but I can't wait for him to come back because whoever is going to feud for this IC belt, it's going to be good. It's going to be really, really good.
I'm gonna need Miz to break in, and whatever roster he goes, he needs to be a champion where he goes to another show.
I agree.
Yep.
So then we had Rollins and Reigns for the number 1 contender match. I think that was a little bit predictable. If you did watch it with the double count out, I think we figured, okay, we're gonna get the triple threat at some point, but I don't think maybe we didn't assume it would be a battleground. We thought that maybe it would be
a bigger pay-per-view.
A better pay-per-view.
Well, they have to sell their pay-per-view somehow.
That's true.
Why in the world did Rollins think he actually beat the count when the referee obviously called the bell? That was kind of stupid. Like, Rollins, you didn't get in the ring.
Right. But obviously, at the end, Ambrose came in and said, well, here we go, boys. Look, I don't care if it's you. I don't care if it's you. Let's go. And to me, that's how Ambrose is a babyface. But that's how heels should be.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care who you are.
I'm the best.
Hey, Rollins, guess what? We're buddies. Oh, here's the title. Oh, I'll fight you. And he did the same to Reigns, who was claimed to be his best friend.
Yep.
So as of right now, our main event for Battleground is Reigns, Rollins, and Ambrose. We saw Sasha Banks.
I was gonna say, man, don't leave us Sasha Banks now.
That is Bae. That's my girl. She's likely to face Charlotte for the belt. Finally,
is she gonna beat Charlotte?
I think what'll happen is Dana Brooke will get involved to keep Charlotte champ.
Yep.
I think Sasha gets it at SummerSlam. That would be the hope for the big pay-per-view because Sasha might be the most over diva.
After this whole Natalya and Becky thing, do we see at SummerSlam another triple threat with these women again?
Give me a fatal 4-way and throw Paige in there.
Paige is great. People just forgot about her right now. She's lost in the shuffle.
But every time she comes out, she gets cheers.
Yeah.
She got cheered on Raw, and she beat Charlotte the week before, earning herself a women's title match this last week on Raw.
Yep.
But because they feel the need to play up Ric Flair in Charlotte, Dana Brooke keeps interfering, and Charlotte can't do anything on her
Not on her own. She has the Rollins reign of how he was last year.
Yeah, and if that gets old. I mean, it does.
It really does.
But not
you can't
old.
have your heels win on their own anymore.
Some breaking news today.
Oh boy.
Roman Reigns has officially been suspended 30 days for the wellness policy.
Yeah.
It wasn't really said whether it was drugs or steroids or nothing was really talked about. But this is going to put him really, really close to the pay-per-view. Will we see the triple threat? Because obviously they knew Vince, or it
probably
came out
knew
that
going
they
into
knew going
Monday.
into Money in the
Right.
Bank, and that's why they had him drop the title.
Yep.
But now with Reigns being off TV for a month and coming back so close to the pay-per-view, are they going to keep it a triple threat? Is Vince able to justify suspending a guy for 30 days and saying, "Oh yeah, you can come back and get a world title shot"?
Yeah.
Is that something you think that's plausible?
I think that's okay. I mean, they're all human. We know this. Like I mentioned to you before, Orton failed his test like 4 or 5 times, and he still. You see the type of career he had.
Yeah.
Stuff happens, man. They're on the road for so long. I'm not excusing the fact that you may have used drugs or something like that, because it's not right. But they're human. People make mistakes. Right. Let it go. I see a bunch of people complaining about how Reigns, should be suspended indefinitely. Should never get a title shot again.
No, yeah, I don't.
Calm
agree with
down,
that.
people.
Right? Yeah,
calm down.
Exactly.
It's gonna be okay.
I think I'm with you. People do make mistakes and things do happen. You're on the road a lot. But I think for him to be suspended and his first match back be a world title match might be a little too much to handle. I personally myself would hold it off till SummerSlam,
right.
and then save the triple threat for. This is your way to save this match and push it to SummerSlam.
That might actually be a very good idea. He comes out, so they turn the match, and they announce it on TV next week. So then it turns into Ambrose versus Rollins in the 1-on-1. And then Reigns comes out and interferes during the match. So he's not technically wrestling for the title, but he comes out like...
He causes a disqualification.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not in the match, so I'm going to, take it on YouTube. Yeah. That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And no, they're not turning him heel. It's just stuff that he does, people.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, and that's what he did when he was with the Shield, and I wouldn't be mad at that at all. I just think, to be suspended for 30 days, today's the 22nd, so yesterday being the first day, he'd be back July 21st, which really... would only give him 3 days, or would be 3 days, before he's on.
Yeah, that's like a couple days right after the draft.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think, I think we'll assume he'll be one of the names mentioned at the draft.
Yep.
I read today that there's going to be 12 names mentioned at the draft.
Okay.
Which is absolutely, in my mind, mind blowing. If you want to draw ratings, Vince, you put this on the network.
Yep.
Because the old draft, they would update it on the website,
yep.
and you would have to go on the next day and see who went where.
With this happening, can we please go back to 2 hours of Raw?
Yes, that would be awesome. I mean, Triple H has said it numerous times that we need Raw to go back.
There's
to 2 hours.
no reason why Raw should be. It never should have been 3 hours in the first place.
Yeah.
With the brand split now, you can give people that have less shine more time to to do work, because you just get people
matches
that
should be longer.
There's no character build up. You just throw people like Ryder or Truth on the card, and it's like, okay, well, there's nothing invested into here, so why should I want to watch it? So
yeah, no, I got you. And the other thing, with this coming up so quick, I would like to see the Fist come back, the SmackDown Fist with the Marilyn Manson theme song. Beautiful people or something. Just whatever they're doing now, I get it. It's PG. You gotta do what you gotta do. But
right.
There's definitely ways to keep the older generations invested.
Sure.
In doing this thing, but yeah, I mean, Raw was pretty solid this week. Apparently ratings were up. On Ambrose's first day of being champ, not trap. Champ. So we'll see how this goes. We got 5 weeks until the next pay-per-view. Dakota will probably be back at you Friday after Ring of Honor, I'm guessing.
Oh, yes. Best in the world, guys. Friday, June 24th. Tune in. Jay Lethal versus Jay Briscoe 2-year match in the making, man. Do not miss it. So
he'll probably be back at you with some information. I probably will not be. He's a bigger ROH guy than I am, so...
I'm cold, baby.
He'll be bringing that to you. But thanks, guys. That's our Monday after the pay-per-view recap.